Oscar stood up to leave Mr. Abuchi's house, but before leaving, he turned and told Mr. Abuchi, Sir, I would prefer you don't tell your daughter, Ngozi, that we saw. Thank you very much, sir. On his way going home, he felt really bad. He was heartbroken. He couldn't believe that Ngozi's father chose money over his daughter's happiness, but he wasn't in any position to judge. When he got home, he saw his father, Mr. Chukuma, sitting in front of the house. Oscar went to greet his father and said to him, Papa, good afternoon. Papa, I have resigned. But instead of his father being worried, his father told him, My son, sit down. So Oscar sat down close to Mr. Chukuma. Then he said, My son, when a door closes, another opens. Oscar was confused. Papa, my feelings for Ngozi is no door that should close. I really love her. I do. Mr. Chukuma went ahead to explain to him. I'm not saying your feelings for Ngozi isn't valid. I'm only referring to your job as her driver. My son, it's time for you to face life as you went to school to be an engineer and not a driver. You have to keep applying for jobs. Don't worry, you will get one soon. Nevertheless, a mail came in for you today. Mr. Chukuma handed his son a white envelope. When Oscar opened it, to his greatest surprise, he got a job offer from a French multinational company and was to resume work in 1 week time. Oscar screamed for joy. Papa, Papa, see you. Mr. Chukuma asked, What is it, my son? Papa, this envelope is a job offer. And it's not even a Nigerian company, but a multinational company. Papa, when I was applying for this particular company, I just told myself, let me give it a try. Mr. Chukuma was so excited. He was filled with joy and he started singing songs of praises. That evening, when Ngozi was done with work, she went down to the parking lot, hoping to see her cute Prince Charming, Oscar, and was hoping to rant about how some investors made her upset and to also ask him why he hadn't called her all day. But to her greatest surprise, she met her father's driver, Nkem, standing close to her car. She was surprised. She quickly asked Nkem, Where is Oscar? Nkem responded by saying, I'm sorry, ma, but I'm not in any position to answer such question as I was ordered by your father to pick you up. Ngozi entered the car and bashed the door. She was so upset. She thought to herself, why is my father controlling everything concerning me? Why does he want to ruin my chances of happy life? I thought we came to an agreement with this. What is wrong with him? Can't I just be happy for once? Ngozi was so angry. The moment Nkem got to the family house and parked the car, Ngozi came down with a frown face and asked the maid, Where is my father? And the maid quickly told her, He's in the study. Ngozi went straight to the study, and when she got there, she greeted her father, Papa, good evening, sir. Mr. Apuchi responded, Good evening, Ngozi. Before Ngozi could say any further word, Mr. Apuchi gave her Oscar's resignation letter and told her, He asked me to give you this, saying he couldn't face you. Ngozi stood there in shock. Her mind was racing. What's going on here? She thought to herself. She looked at her dad and said, Papa, please tell me you don't have a hand in this in any way, because if you do, I will leave you and the company. You can't ruin my chances of happiness because he's poor. So can't he just be my husband? Mr. Apuchi looked at his daughter and said, I don't have a hand in this. He told me that he was leaving to make ends meet and he was So ashamed, Ngozi started crying. She couldn't believe what her father had just said. She was so upset to go home as she didn't want to be all alone and she had just heard a heartbreaking news. So she went straight to her bedroom in her father's mansion and called Oscar on the phone. Oscar picked the call. The moment he put the phone close to his ears, he could hear Ngozi cry and pouncing. He was heartbroken. He then spoke up and said, Angie, my love, why are you behaving like this now? Why are you crying like as if something had happened to me? Why, my baby? Ngozi, who responded by saying, how can you do this to me? How can you come into my life and live without a word? Who told you you have such rights? Oscar responded, Angie, I am not leaving you or going anywhere. I am with you and I'm always with you. Ngozi then asked him, why did you drop your resignation letter? Why, if you say you're still with me? Oscar told her, I want to be the man your family would accept. I want to be a strong pillar by your side. I want to be worthy. Ngozi, who responded by saying, all of that doesn't matter. You're worthy to me, and that's what matters. Oscar told her, my baby, don't worry. I will be back soon, but not as your boyfriend, but as your husband. Angie, Biko, wipe those tears and smile for me. So Ngozi wiped her tears and said, okay, but how will you do that? Oscar told her, I got a job offer and I will be resuming soon. When I return, I am only returning to get married to you. Ngozi, who asked, what company is that? Oscar told her, don't worry, my love. When we get to see, I will explain everything. So Ngozi had her bath and went straight to bed. She was a bit calm hearing from Oscar. It made her feel a bit better as she was really excited that he was living for a better life. The next day, Oscar gathered all necessary documents needed for his new job and prepared to leave. He was to resume at the Lagos office first before traveling to France for a period of 2 years. After Oscar had gathered everything and left to Lagos, when he got to the company and the offer letter was given to him, he called Ngozi and told her that he will be away for 2 years. Can she please wait for him? Ngozi, who gave it a deep thought and said, yes, I will. I promise. So Oscar traveled to France for his training and stayed there for 2 years. During this period, Ngozi prayed and hoped that Oscar doesn't return back just to break her heart. She hoped that waiting for him was going to worth it. Back in France, Oscar was the best among his batch. He had the highest rank and he was given the training manager. Ngozi and Oscar always spoke, reassuring their love for one another. On the other hand, Mr. Abuchi, Ngozi's father, kept on introducing different calibers of men to her, but she refused to date any of them, telling her father and mother, they don't fit right by me, so I won't date anyone. But she refused telling them that she was actually waiting for Oscar. When 2 years had elapsed, Oscar had to return back to Nigeria. Oscar, who returned back to Nigeria with a lot of money he had saved while he was in France, he refused spending any of his salary till he got back home to Nigeria. The moment he got back to the Lagos branch, he applied to be transferred to the Abuja branch because he wanted to be close to Ngozi. When Oscar got back to Nigeria, he built a very big mansion for himself and also for his parents. One evening, Oscar went to pick up Ngozi from her place of work. He wanted to surprise Ngozi as she didn't know he had returned. The moment Ngozi was done from the office and came down to the parking lot, she noticed a strange car parked where her car was supposed to be parking. She hasn't seen the car before. When she drew closer to the car, she noticed it was parked the same way Oscar loves to park her car. She thought to herself, has Oscar returned? I don't think so. He would have called me to pick him up. She drew closer and knocked on the glass and said, good evening, how may I help you? Oscar wind down the glass of the car and said, good evening, ma. I'm here to pick up my wife. Ngozi screamed in excitement. So you're back? How come you didn't ask me to come and pick you up? Oscar responded by saying, I didn't want to stress my pretty baby. Oscar came down, handed her the flower he bought for her, and hugged her so tight. Ngozi was so glad. She was so excited. So she entered into the car and told her driver to follow them. Oscar, who took Ngozi straight to his home. The moment they got to the home, Ngozi came down. Ngozi was in awe. He built the house exactly the way she wanted. It was everything they ever spoke about before his resignation. Ngozi was so glad. She looked at Oscar and told him, so you remembered everything? Oscar, who nodded and said, yes, I did. Ngozi and Oscar spent the night together, catching up on lost moments and old times. Oscar was really happy to be back home. Not just being back home, but to be close to Ngozi. And Ngozi, who was so excited to be seeing Oscar once again and enjoying the warmth that came with his shoulder. The next day, Oscar told Ngozi he would like to meet her parents. So she accepted and they both went straight to her parents' house. The moment Oscar walked in, Mr. Abuchi knew something had changed. This wasn't the driver he once met before. So Oscar reintroduced himself. Good evening, sir. I am the manager of Kent Multinational Company. Mr. Abuchi was shocked. Oscar then told him, I am here today to ask for your daughter's hands in marriage. Mr. Abuchi looked at him and said, you are the manager of Kent? I'm deeply sorry for how I spoke to you last time. I am very, very sorry about that. And also, I really want to thank you for taking the blames and keeping the relationship I have with my daughter. You're a nice man and you are really a honest soul. So Mr. and Mrs. Apuchi gave their blessings to both Oscar and Ngozi. Oscar and Ngozi were so excited and they thanked them greatly. On their way out, Ngozi asked him, so my father approached you last time, but you took the blame and the fall. Why? Oscar told her, you're your father's only child. I can't be the reason why you and your father isn't talking. Moreover, the moment I got home that day, my appointment letter was waiting for me. So it was a blessing in disguise. Ngozi told Oscar, thank you very much. I love you. Oscar and Ngozi, who got married after 3 months and lived their life like they always dreamt of and spoke of, making Ngozi's dreams come true. Thank you very much for listening to the story of the day. It's Ngozika, as always, your favorite storyteller. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, turn on the notification bell to get more interesting stories like this. Also, this story is the continuation of She Must Get Married Before 30 to Keep Her Father's Company. So, in order to enjoy the story, you have to see the previous story. Thank you very much. So, we'll meet again in our next story. Bye for now.